Would you rather be 3 inches taller or 3 inches shorter? Would you rather wrestle a lion or a shark? All right. Now that we got to know each other a little bit better, I want you guys to close your eyes a little bit. I know pastors usually want you to stay awake, but I want you guys to close your eyes. And we're going to take you on a little journey. I want you guys to imagine the best day ever. What that looks like, what it looked like. Best day you've ever had. Could have been 10, 20, 40, 50 years ago. Could have been last week. Now I want you guys to imagine your favorite food. Can you taste it? Now I want you guys to imagine the best friend you've ever had. Someone sitting next to you today. Friend from your childhood. Best friend you've ever had. Now I'm going to flip that coin. I want you guys to imagine the worst day. What it looks like, looked like. We got someone here that lost a loved one. Was that the worst day? It's something that hasn't even happened yet. You know, the death of a loved one's in the near future. The worst day you've ever had. Now, how about the person who has hurt you the most? It's kind of difficult. Was it once the person that was your best friend? Now I want you guys to imagine that every single person here tomorrow has a doctor's appointment. The doctor's going to come in the room and they're going to say, got some good news and I got some bad news for you. Good news is, you're as healthy as a horse, there's nothing wrong with you. But the bad news is, you only have 30 days to live. But there's some other good news. Government just instilled a brand new program that anyone that gets this diagnosis gets $500,000 tax-free to do whatever you want to do it. So what do you do with the money? You guys can open your eyes. Some of you are saying, yeah, right. Buy that new car you always wanted. Buy a one-way ticket to some beach somewhere. But did any of that money get used? In this country, from the time that we are born, we are taught that if you get a jackpot, it's me, 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 me. What can I buy for me? But if you knew you only had 30 days, would that money really make a difference in your life? Honest. Now this morning kind of comes from a whole collection of things that I've talked about and thought about over the years. And I started writing down notes and it came out into like way too much for one morning. So if I ever do get invited back, you might get part 2 this morning. But I titled this 30 Days to Live. Right. And the passage I'm going to first start out with, if you guys want to open up, is in James chapter 4, verses 13 through 17. James 4, verses 13 through 17. And the title of this passage is called Boasting About Tomorrow. It says, now listen, you who say today or tomorrow, we will go to this or that city, spend a year there, carry on business and make money. Why, you do not even know what will happen tomorrow. What is your life? You are a mist that appears for a little while, then vanishes. Instead, you ought to say, if it is the Lord's will, we will live and do this or that. As it is, you boast in your arrogant schemes. All such boasting is evil. If anyone then knows the good they ought to do and doesn't do it, it is sin for them. That last verse is a sucker punch to my gut. If anyone then knows the good they ought to do and doesn't do it, it is sin for them. We plan for everything in this life, don't we? So I was supposed to go on a mission trip to Africa with my wife in April of 2020. Anyone know what happened? We didn't go. February of 2020 comes around, things start getting dicey, and 3 weeks before the trip, we said, yeah, we can't go. The country shut down. We spent a year and a half preparing for that trip, talking about it, doing Bible studies with everyone that was involved. There were some people all across the country. Every week for a year and a half, we would meet on Zoom and do Bible studies together. So when we actually met in the John F. Kennedy Airport in New York to the international flight, we were already family. We already knew each other. Guess what? Didn't happen. So we rescheduled to September of 2020. Nope. We rescheduled it 5 times, and finally we put it out a whole year. And me and my wife, and now oldest daughter was old enough to come, finally got to go to Africa January of 2023. We planned for everything. How many of you guys are planning a vacation this summer? Right? And you can't wait. Kids, 2 months ago, you could not wait until the last day of school. And pretty soon, you go to Walmart and there's going to be back to school supplies. Maybe they're already there, right? It's almost July. But we plan for everything. We boast about tomorrow as if we have 50, 100, 200 years yet to live. What does it say in James? We are a mist. We are a vapor. Other versions say we are a smoke that appears for 1 minute. I got a question for you guys. Does anyone here know the day they're going to die? I do. I'm glad no one else raised their hand. Because you know why? Because I took an online survey and it told me. Yeah, you can do that. It's easy. Just go and answer a whole bunch of health questions about your family and, do you drink, smoke, yada, yada, yada. And it'll give you a day of your death. And supposedly, I'm going to die on my mom's birthday in 2073. So that sounds pretty good, right? Good old man at that point in time. I'm glad no one here raised your hand. But that's the point I want to get at this morning. We have no idea when tomorrow. I don't listen to country music, but there used to be a song out kind of about this concept, and the whole concept was if you got this this news, you'd go waste your life. You'd do all the things you ever wanted. It was like I'd go skydiving, I'd go Rocky Mountain climbing, I'd ride a bull for 2.7 seconds, Every single day that we live here on this earth is one day less that we have. Last I checked, the death rate was 100%. Numbers kind of changed, but we don't really have any other option, I don't think. And the truth is, unless Jesus returns in our lives and takes those of us who belong to him home with him, we are all going to die a physical death. Every single one here. Anyone watch the news last night? Did any lives get taken in Oshkosh yesterday? Car accidents, diseases, heart stop beating every single day. I don't want to scare you guys though either. That's not the whole point of this. In Psalms chapter 39, David's crying out to God. And he says, Lord, remind me of how short my life is. We need to recognize the truth that time here on earth is limited, and we need to prioritize what we do. So I got 3 bullet points for this morning. I should have given them some notes. They could put it up on the screen. But number 1 is we need to turn our when into now. Let me explain that. We all have these when to now things. So, let's see, 16 years ago, me and my wife bought our first home I had 2 kids then, now I have 4. But the whole time we lived there, we only planned on living there 2 to 3 years, and then we were going to move out in the country, buy our dream house. Well, we lived there for 13 years. And the whole time we were there, had kids, and they wanted pets, and we did not really want pets, but we told them, if we ever get to move out in the country, you guys can have cats. So 2.5 years ago, we finally got to move out in the country. And you know what? They never forgot that. So within a couple months, we had friends that had baby kittens, and each of my kids went and they got to pick out their own kitten. Well, now it turned into a dog, and then one cat we didn't get fixed, so now we have more kittens. But we have those. That was a when into now. For years we talked about that. When we get the country home, we'll get cats. But how about this? You guys each have these. When I get that promotion, then I'll finally start tithing to church. When I win the lottery, I'll finally help so-and-so. When this person finally asks for forgiveness, will I accept it and forgive them? Everyone's got them. What did it say in James, that last verse? If we know what we ought to do and we don't do it, it is sin for us. Have you guys ever gotten that phone call that a loved one passed? You know what? Something that always seems to be said are the regrets. Someone's on their deathbed in the hospital, and they always have, I wish I would have, I wish I would have, I wish I would have said. But what are we waiting for? Most of the things that we wish for, we could do today, we could do tomorrow. But it seems like we put things off that need to get done. I was involved in a youth group for a very, very long time. Every single year we do a little missions trip. And the first night of our missions trip, we would always, as leaders, would always ask the kids 2 questions. What are you excited about for this trip, and what are you most terrified? And I would always answer the same 2 things. My excitement was, I was excited that these kids were going to get so excited about serving Lord people and serving others, whatever task was. But I was most terrified that what was going to happen was we were going to go back home, and a week or 2 later, nothing was going to change. They would get back in their old routines, back in school, back with their old friends. And everything we just did would get washed out the window, and nothing would actually change. I used to be in another band, and unfortunately, our heads got way too big for our own good. We became very, very popular very, very quickly. Most bands have to go through a lot of growing pains and years of hard work to get to the point where we were at, and we did it in a matter of 1.5 years, 2 years. I mean, it just, things blew up. And God got put into a smaller box, and eventually he just got put on the shelf. What is the greatest commandment when Jesus was cornered by the Sadducees and Pharisees? Love God and love others. I wanted to take that whole, where he, recited that, and I wanted to put it on a t-shirt, and I made it just simple. Love God, love people, period. What else is there? All right, so number 2. Oh, I totally skipped a whole bunch of my notes. Okay, I'm going to talk one more thing about number 1. So we need to turn our when into now. I have a very good friend in Minnesota. His name is Dave. Now, Dave is an ex-drug dealer, and not just like on the street corner, like serious. He told me at one time he did a $2.5 million transaction. I mean, he was big into drugs. That was pre-Jesus. Today, just last week, he was ordained as a pastor. Him and I have been friends for years. He gave me that guitar with one condition.